Thundershroomz is. And today we're going to be talking about something which, as always, I like to answer the questions that I get asked after each episode. And today's topic is something that's, I hope, will be very helpful to everyone as a simple way to remember something that's really impactful about how do we bring change to our lives. Now, there's a lot of things that I've been passionate about in the past, and the things that I've studied in the field of anti-aging. Before I was in health, I was in the fields of finance, and we often talk about a lot of complex topics, complicated things, complicated systems, and it's very easy. We confuse something that's complex or something that's complicated with something that's difficult. And difficulty and complexity are not the same thing. And when we talk about health is so complex. Health is, I mean, there's inside our body, but 60 trillion cells and so many systems that interact with each other in dynamic ways, meaning that they're changing. The same way that my body reacts after digesting food today is going to be different. It's going to be similar, but ultimately different tomorrow when I'm digesting different food with different nutrients in a different state of being. So our body's extremely complex. And so when we talk about the question, which I'm asked a lot, which is, hi Oliver, I really want to know what's the right dosage guideline? What's the right protocol that I need to take for this issue in order to achieve change? How long is the change going to take? How long do I need to consume X amount of Thundershroomz to achieve change to this situation? And to bring it back to, as I was just saying, how our systems inside our body are very complex and they're very complicated. So there's many things we could do. And this is why medical advice between individuals, it varies so much. In fact, studies show that the same medicine has almost up to a 90% variance, as in a 90% difference between how one individual has a reaction to the same medicine as another individual. So if you think about that high of a difference between the results of medicine, how can we have a standard dose for anything? Well, we can't. It's very difficult. So now we accept everything is complex. Our human anatomy is so complex. Our health issues are complex. They're a combination of our physical, our metaphysical, our emotional, our environmental, many factors, internal and external free radicals that we talked about last episode. So our health is so complex. Our health issues even more complex, right? How could we possibly have a very standard dose guideline for Thundershroomz for all humans? Well, the real answer is we can't do it 100%, but we can do it 80 to 90%. And the reason why is because the things that work make something that's very complex very simple. Doesn't mean that doing this simple thing is going to be easy. And again, simple is not easy. Complex is not difficult. We get these things confused a lot. The simple path we take is knowing that a minimum dose of Thundershroomz has so many benefits of a certain nature that will deliver a group or a broad range of results. And we know that above a certain amount, as you see recommended on the label, that guideline, consumption guideline, is enough to cover most of basic human issues to do with immunity, to do with issues of aging and premature aging and wear and tear. So this is how we can apply something quite simple as a standard dose to help a very complex range of issues, which are personalized health issues. And again, depending on internal, external, environmental, emotional factors. So we want to always think about not getting bogged down in something that's complex. And something doesn't have to be difficult because it's complex. Something can still be very simple and very difficult. For example, we all know we shouldn't eat sugar. We all know that we should exercise X amount, maybe 30, 40 minutes a day for mobility, but also for metabolic health, metabolic balance. We all know that we shouldn't sit down for too long and stay sedentary. These are very simple things to do, but sometimes they're not easy. They're not easy because they take effort, they take sacrifice, they take resources of energy, they take resources of difficulty. Researchers, we understand now that why do sometimes even just reading a long, boring research article, why is it so difficult for us? Well, we know now that we scan the brain and we see the brain when the brain is studying or the brain is reading or learning or something with full focus, it's almost the same level of pain or pleasure as when you're doing a physical task. So we know that these things take effort, and these things, even though they're simply reading a piece of paper. Maybe it's not easy. Simple advice of what diet to follow. It's not always easy to do it. So in order to give ourselves the best chance of sticking with it, we have to make it as simple as possible. So we make the dose as simple as possible for modern humans, because we know modern humans, our immune issues come from generally the same sources, which are internal and external free radicals, which interrupt the hormonal systems, which interrupt the immune system in our body, and we have a chain reaction of the systems which get weaker and then lead to other systems becoming weaker. So we come back to this simple action of Thundershroomz boosting the immune system, of strengthening and balancing the immune system. This simple action, as expressed in a simple dose of 1 or 2 capsules per day for most people, this simple action has a very complex effect. So we don't have to know about every single microprocess inside the body. And in the same way that a mechanic, the symptoms of not having enough oil in a car, the auto mechanic, maybe a junior mechanic and a senior mechanic, they both know, put oil in the car. But maybe the auto mechanic knows more exactly why some specific process is going to be improved or helped by the addition of oil, whereas the junior mechanic just knows that, when it's sputtering, I put oil and it stops sputtering. So we don't necessarily need to know the complex understanding. We don't need to know that. We just need to know the simple action, which can have a very high impact and complex result. So with Thundershroomz, we just want to do the most immediate thing, which is the standard dose, 1 or 2 capsules per day for most humans. As we get older, we can increase the dose. If your body weight is more than 120 for a woman, 120 pounds, and 180 for a man, you want to consider increasing the dose by 1.5 to 2 times as recommended. And that's guided by your body weight. But again, we keep the dosing as simple as possible. And we also want to keep not just the Thundershroomz protocol as simple as possible, but we want to keep everything as simple as possible. So when we talk about combining the Thundershroomz with other therapies, such as improvements to diet and improvements to our emotional state by maybe adjusting our lifestyle choices or reducing stressful inputs as much as possible. When we combine these methods with the Thundershroomz, then we have even better results. And those methods also can be kept very simple. And the most important thing, what makes something simple, is also something which I like to call adherence. Adherence is by many in many aspects of our own objectives. We can have the biggest objectives. We can have the biggest dreams or visions of what we want to achieve in our health, in our personal life, in our emotional state, in our professional career, right? We can have these amazing goals, but the steps to achieve those goals, if they cannot be adhered to, then they're too difficult. They're too impossible. So adherence is that's the one criteria that makes something achievable or not. And when we have adherence, I like to say ABC. Adherence brings change. So when we say, okay, I'm in this current health state, but I want to be in a better health state. That health state takes change. What's gonna take to get me to that state, to go through all that change, is simple steps that I can adhere to. I don't need to suddenly become the healthiest eater on the world and run, train more than a physical athlete, like a professional athlete. I don't need to give up all of my vices or all of my toxic inputs overnight. I don't need to do all that because I cannot adhere to that. And if I cannot adhere to it, I will not bring the change. And if I can adhere to it, if it's something I can stick to, then A, B, C. Adherence brings change. I want to improve my upper body strength. Let's say I want to get to somewhere I can do 200 push-ups comfortably in perfect form without too much strain. I can't do 200 push-ups right now. So for me to start training tomorrow by saying I'm going to do 200 push-ups, it's not realistic, and I'm not going to be able to adhere to that. Maybe I can do it one day. I completely kill my wrists and my tendons are shot, and I can't do any more. So it would be much more impactful. It would be a much higher probability of me getting to my objective, reaching my goal, if I can make a plan which I can adhere to. So just 10 push-ups a day, which I can genuinely stick to every day, is going to bring me much more change than lofty ambitions of 200 push-ups, which I know I cannot do. And in the same way, small adherences bring changes to bigger parts. Our body works exactly the same way. And how we work as a big person, our cells work in the same way on a nano level, which is that big changes to our overall health systems start with small little things that can be adhered to. Small things like the increasing of the B cell and the T cell and the mature macrophage, which we have plenty of research which shows is boosted by the Thundershroomz. Small changes which are brought about by improvements in the circulatory system, in the cellular communication system, in the hormonal system. Small changes that lower the inflammatory response in the body. All these small changes are something the body can adhere to. And these together bring much bigger change. They bring health improvement. They bring systemic improvement where the body as a system, as a whole, gets improved. And this is not just overnight, oh, I was sick and now I'm better. These all came with small, adherable improvements, and adherence brings change. So it's the same way that we want to achieve our objectives in our life, in our personal life, professional life, and we want our body to achieve its health goals, is through small adherable changes. And that's how we can make something that's so complex, something that seems so insurmountable or difficult, it's actually quite achievable when we break it down into simple steps. So for dosing, we keep it quite simple, and we stick to 1 or 2 capsules per day because we know through research that these consumed amounts will have an immunotherapeutic effect on adults within a reasonable range of health. And in more specific cases, we really focus on increasing the doses in a few key areas. One would be where we have visible signs of immune imbalance, and that will show up as symptoms of inflammation or symptoms of bloatedness and water retention, or skin discoloration, skin reddening, skin rashes or itchiness, eczema, psoriasis. All of these types of symptoms are really reflective of immune imbalance. So in this group of conditions, we want to really focus on the critical care, and we want to try to front load the dose a bit more. Whereas, so if we say the consumer has an adherable budget to say consume 12 in a row of critical care, for the case of where skin or symptoms of the immune system showing up in issues of the skin, we can take a higher amount earlier in the therapy. So we can do 2 capsules per day or 4 capsules per day for the first several months, and then lower the dose to 1 capsule per day, maintaining for the full duration. So that's for the group of immune issues that shows itself up in the skin. That would also be including skin sunspots, liver spots, especially in older, above 50 or 60 years old. We see dark spots under the liver, under the eyes. They're called sunspots, but they're really liver spots, so they're reflective of liver health. So that would also be helped by the consumption of critical care. Now, if we move away from the skin issues and we want to talk about more about general immune health, and as far as lowering, preventing seasonal flu weakness or susceptibility to other contagious diseases, then we're talking about the normal dose of the Vital Life, but in a higher risk situation, such as maybe before traveling or before an important event where you want to really make sure you don't get sick, or you want to lower your chances of catching something, you can easily double the Vital Life dose and also add critical care at the same time. Now, it's important to note, although they come from the same exact species of wild, above 30 years old fruiting body of the mushroom, the way that they're extracted is this is based on the research done by our team of scientists in Thailand, and but global scientists from around the world. The research which tells us that depending on how the mushroom is extracted, it will yield different compounds from what exists naturally in the mushroom. So if we use method A, we're going to get basically critical care, which has a higher percentage of a certain group. And if we use method B, we're going to get Vital Life, which has a higher percentage of a different group. So they both have all the groups of the helpful beneficial compounds, but depending on the method which we use to produce, then it's going to have a higher weighting or a higher percentage of different groups versus others. And those percentages of the groups is what really determines why. That's why we say for this, because we know that the groups that are higher in the critical care are really shown through the research to be more effective on the skin related issues, whereas for the more preventive of seasonal flus, we see that the groups that are higher in higher presence from the Vital Life, they're more helpful. So that's why we have a very simple approach where everyone gets benefit from both formula. And for more specific cases, we tweak a bit. And again, if you have any very specific cases, you're always welcome to email me anytime. I can give you more personalized protocol guidance. But this is how we can get a very wide range of benefits from something that's very simple. And in the same way, we do something that we can adhere to. So you would definitely benefit most from the dose that you can adhere to, something you can afford to take for a longer time, something you can afford if it's too troublesome to take it 2 sittings per day, just have the 2 capsules in 1 sitting per day. It's not a big deal. Whatever is the methodology that you can adhere to is the one that will bring change, because ABC, adherence brings change. So I hope that will help you. If you have any questions about specific issues and guidance, you're always welcome to email at thundershroomz.docofdetox@gmail.com. And I wish you all a great, healthy week ahead. And until next time, see you then.